Ladies and gentlemen, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are in the world, whenever you are tuning into this video. My name is James Porcelly,
I'm Bryan Thomas.
and welcome to another very special edition of the Ruthless Talk podcast. Happy Wednesday, Bryan. Welcome
Yes,
back.
sir.
It's been a
Absolutely.
crazy couple of days. It's been a long couple of days, but we are back. And ladies and gentlemen, we are just a couple of days away from the Elimination Chamber in Australia. All the superstars, all the talents, they are now in Australia. They just landed just today or yesterday, so everybody's gearing up for Elimination Chamber, and we will be talking about that show this coming weekend. There will be no SmackDown review. So you will be getting the Elimination Chamber review this weekend. So make sure you guys stay posted of when that episode will be released, as well
Yes,
as we have a special guest on the show. And screw it, I'm going to spill the beans because you've already seen this person on our
a
platform.
returning guest. So yeah,
Our returning guest, he was a part of roundtables before. He's been on the show many times before, and that is our man Jalen Johnson. So Jalen Johnson will be our special guest for the good, the bad, and the ugly. So Jalen, if you're listening to this, man, shout out to you. Can't wait
absolutely.
for
Shout
to be
out to you,
part
man.
of our review show. Absolutely. Shout out to you, my man. He's been a tremendous supporter of our platform. So, anytime that we get an opportunity to try to get him onto the show, because he is a very knowledgeable individual. And of course, he delivers all that love and appreciation towards our platform. So it's going to be a great time to have him on the show. So that'll be the good, the bad, and the ugly with our guy, Jalen Johnson. So make sure you guys stay tuned for that, as well as we're going to definitely stuff is going to be in the works to invite a lot more people to these good, the bad, and ugly reviews. Of course, I'm sure a lot of you guys already love to hear our beautiful voices and hear our beautiful takes, but definitely adds in another layer or two when you hear it from also a different perspective. So definitely stay tuned for some more special guests with our good, the bad, and the ugly reviews. Again, that's going to be this weekend, so make sure you stay tuned for that. So let's dive into the show. So today's all about the go home show to Elimination Chamber. That is Monday Night Raw. As well, of course, we got AEW Revolution coming up just right around the corner, and we will talk about AEW Revolution over the next several days. But today's all about Monday Night Raw, again, the final show before this big Elimination Chamber event. And before I get to you, Bryan, because we do got some shout outs that we want to give, as we're going to dive straight into this. My first shout out is to Anaheim this past Monday, the Anaheim crowd.
Yeah.
Listen, I've I've stated many times about certain wrestling crowds and how they'll just cheer for anything. And I think it's very baffling and weird on how we chant "This is awesome" for just decent to good matches that's been thrown to us every so often. But hey, they brought really good energy to this show. I mean, you got freaking R-Truth got a really good reaction. Raquel Rodriguez, out of all people, again,
best reaction I've ever seen her get. And yeah, no shade to her, but as far as overall reaction, yeah, good reaction, man.
One of the best reactions I've ever heard her get. And yeah, she obviously, again, just spoiler, you guys know the fact she made her big return, and she's now going to be a part of the Elimination Chamber with the rest of these women. You got Tiffany Stratton, you got Becky Lynch, Bianca, and Liv Morgan, as well as Naomi, and she's going to be a part of that, Raquel, and she got a pretty decent freaking reaction. So Anaheim brought that energy, man. So again, I know I tease about wrestling fans nowadays and how we cheer for things, but hey, much love to that Anaheim crowd. They definitely brought in that extra layer, which is really, really good energy that this show doesn't really get a whole lot, Bryan. You never really hear much energy, but you got it from Anaheim this past Monday. So definitely shout out to that crowd for bringing that good energy and bringing those good vibes to the show.
For sure.
And I'll get to your shout outs, Bryan, because I know you got a couple. My second shout out, man, is Chad Gable. As he was in a match with Ivar. And this, honestly, man, and again, people can take it however they want to take it. It's just another match with Ivar. And I wouldn't blame you, honestly, as that's how it honestly was portrayed. But man, this was a calling card for Chad Gable and reminding fans of how good this freaking dude is. And I've stated before about Chad Gable in this whole, and we're going to get to the Intercontinental title match. Of course, you had Gunther as well as Jey Uso, and we'll get to the whole IC title situation. But I've stated before about Chad Gable and how believable it is for this guy to take this title away from Gunther. And it's just a shame that Triple H and creative just doesn't have, they either don't have anything for him. They want to wait for Ivar's partner and Eric with the Viking Raiders just to come back so they could just have a bunch of more freaking tag matches, or they just don't want to give this dude the rocket because they just know how damn good he is and what he can do if they were to give him that opportunity, that he can just freaking soar with it. Because ever since he's been doing this Alpha Academy shtick, he has done really tremendous stuff. And it's a shame he hasn't been consistently on TV. He's been poorly booked ever since his last match with Gunther just a couple months ago. But that match freaking this past Monday, man, against Ivar was another calling card and just a reminder of how good this freaking dude is. And this dude, and I don't know, again, if it's just Triple H being stubborn, if it's this company being stubborn, or they just don't have a freaking clue what they have in Chad Gable. This dude has it, man. And this dude at some point needs to have the rocket or some type of rocket strapped to his back. That way he can freaking soar, but he's doing all this comedy shtick with with Alpha Academy. And it's funny to a degree, but you can only do the comedy stuff for so long to where it's like, it's just, especially when you're not on TV majority of the time, like Chad Gable has. It's unfortunate, but I want to give Chad Gable his flowers, man. And just, that match reminded at least me, and as I'm sure a lot of people, how damn good this dude is and how this dude, he can pick up a freaking 300 plus freaking Ivar with ease, and how strong he is, again, how believable he is, and how entertaining the dude is with the whole, oh, thank you. Right. The whole,
right.
And he's good, man. And I want to give him his flowers, man. And just like, we gotta WWE, Triple H, man, do more for this freaking guy. This dude is worth more than what you are giving him. And this past Monday was freaking evident. So, but Brian, I'll send this over to you before we get into our topics, man. Your shout outs that you want to give, man. The floor is yours. Take it away.
Yeah, I've really just got one. That's a returning star, Andrade. We've only seen him in the Rumble match and a couple vignettes, which I think the vignettes have been really great. Much in the same kind of feeling with like the Nakamura vignettes, in that same kind of vein. But I think it's really, really good. And he's not scheduled to be at Chamber, right?
No. Mm-mm.
Yeah, so no match or anything, but I wouldn't be surprised if he's there, gets involved in something somehow, I don't know. But it's obvious that they do have something for him. And I think this guy, you go down the checklist of what you want in a professional wrestler, right? He's transformed his body into, what you would want physically. Yeah. He's always been pretty decent on the mic. He's always been, I feel like, in an upper echelon of what they can do in ring wise. I mean, he's a very solid wrestler. But yeah, just, hopefully that it's just not one of those things where like, oh yeah, he's high right off the bat, and then he just falls back into the mid card like so many others. Like, this guy, I think is one of those guys that really has it, and you have those 2 titles now, and we're gonna get into that towards the end of the show, but he's definitely a guy that can be in that picture, challenging for that title. So, shout out to him. Just really anticipating what his first feud or really interaction is getting back into the ring. So
yeah, it definitely right now is kind of like the introductory phase with Andrade. I'm sure like a lot of fans that are new, that are just very new to the product as of late, especially now that it's WrestleMania season. So now you're getting a lot of casuals and returning fans, and they look at Andrade and they're like, wait, who is this dude? So now you're kind of like doing these vignettes to introduce Andrade and who he is. And it reminds me of like, a way they introduced Bray with the Firefly Funhouse stuff. It's like every week there's always like this little vignette or whatever. They made him like a big deal in regards to where they're signing. Like, what brand are they signing to? Is he going to SmackDown? Is he going to Raw? I kind of like that in a way with Braun Breaker. Every week it's just like you're making it a big deal to see where these people are going. So that tells the fans like, hey, you need to pay attention to this dude because he's going to be a big deal. But yeah,
much
with
in the same
Andrade,
vein as like the Razor Ramon vignettes back in the. I mean, a much different vibe,
right,
obviously, but like that's the feel I get with again, even in Nakamura, and I love that, man.
Yeah. No, definitely. Razor Ramon definitely was something I had in mind too. It was just like the concept, like the slow little builds in regards to like character development, if that makes sense, like week by week basis. At least Bray
Absolutely.
and the whole Firefly Funhouse shtick, and just really people getting introduced to the character, and I'm sure that's what they're doing with Andrade. And it's going to be interesting how he officially really debuts and what he's going to be involved in. But I'm sure you're going to see a lot more of these, and hopefully they progress. Right? Hopefully it's just not the same, the same type of words that he's spewing out like he did last week. Hopefully it's not the same type of the same type of what's the word I'm looking for? Like nothing just progressed in these vignettes. You're just doing the same thing, right?
Right.
Like
And you can't do something like this and then just stick them in the mid card and keep them there. Like,
no, right. Exactly. It definitely depends on, who they feud him with. Again, don't even worry about with him in a title. Again, just put him into something that is a good fit for him. Put him with somebody that's a good fit for him, to where it doesn't do harm to the person that he's feuding with, and it'll do wonders for Andrade in the process. So it's going to be interesting to see who that person is in the near futures. I'm sure they'll probably do something with Andrade, as well as a lot of these other returning stars, people like, Naomi, people like Jade Cargill, as well as many others. As well, Braun Breaker is definitely one of them, to where by after WrestleMania season, you'll definitely see the ball start to probably roll in where these people end up lining up moving forward. So, but yeah, no, definitely love the vignette from Andrade. And yeah, just hopefully he's just booked properly, man, because he really wasn't booked that properly the last time he was on the main roster before he left to AEW. So there's definitely some concern in regards to that, but we'll see. We shall see. In regards to it, I'm sure a lot of it, well, maybe not a lot, but some of it has to do with the fact that, now her or his fiance, or his wife, girlfriend, whatever she is now, Charlotte Flair, is now a part of the company. So now they get to see each other more often now. So I'm sure that plays somewhat of a part of it in as well. But yeah, man, I'm rooting for the guy. I love the vignettes, and he's definitely evolved over the past several years, and we'll see where it goes, man. So, but let's dive straight into our first topic for this Raw review. And we're going to get into the ladies. So the first thing I want to discuss is this whole backstage interview, this little backstage face-to-face interview that was with Rhea Ripley as well as Nia Jax. Of course, they got this title match coming up. It's in Perth, Australia. That's where Rhea Ripley's from. So, of course, we've talked about it, Brian, kind of day by day, week by week. You're slowly starting to see Rhea become more of the face, as I'm sure, get used to that, people, because the more that mommy gets cheered, you're gonna continue to see this. And of course, Nia Jax playing the heel and all this. So it's funny how in this segment, and I'll get more into it as we go on. It's funny how Rhea talks about being attacked from behind and all this stuff, where pretty sure, Rhea, you've already done this similar stuff in the past, just a couple weeks ago, a couple months ago, but I'll play along anyway. But still, it was a decent back and forth. I mean, then you had, and this is where it gets a little baffling, right? So I like the concept, right? I like the back and forth concept. You're kind of keeping them separate because they've been physical over the last several weeks. And then you get into the women for the Elimination Chamber, right? You got freaking Naomi, you got Liv Morgan, you had Becky Lynch that started off the segment. Then you also have, who else was freaking out there? Tiffany Stratton. Why am I drawing a blank with this of who else was out there? Bianca Belair. Bianca.
Oh, yeah,
and speaking of Bianca, man, I'll give her a shout out too. She looked damn freaking fine in that outfit that she walked into the ring. That's number one. Second of all, she cut a really damn good promo as she walked to the ring as well. Honestly, one of the best promos I've heard her cut. And it reminded me a lot, and I've tweeted this too, it reminded me a lot of NXT Bianca Belair. Just that extra type of sass and extra attitude brought into the promo. Because lately it's just like, oh, I'm the EST. I'm happy to be here. I'm here for the fans. Like, no, that's not your character. Like you're the EST. You're this sassy, like I'm like I drink my own Kool-Aid type of whatever, right? Like, you believe in your own shit. Like that's Bianca. Like you believe in yourself. You know that you're the shit. And I know she still does that, but it's more of like this happy-go-lucky, like,
right.
like here I am. I got the smile. Like here I am, like hugging babies and freaking hugging families. Like, no, that's not who you are.
It's
like
very much, sorry to cut you. It's very much what they did with I feel like Liv back in the day. Like it's the very like genericness of just like, the hugging babies, the smile, happy to be here.
Yeah.
Kind of, right.
Yeah, and I just felt that extra attitude with her. And again, not that she came across as a heel, but she had a new or a refreshed attitude in the promo. Again, if you guys don't believe me, just go back and listen to it. It's just like it had another extra layer to it that was missing, that was kind of just, again, reminded me of NXT and just how damn good she was in NXT. And as of late, it's just been like, again, like, freaking hugging kids and kissing babies. Like, oh, I'm happy to be here. Like, that's not you. Like, that was you this past Wednesday. So really good stuff from Bianca. I just had to throw that out there. So Becky started off the promo, and they did that whole spiel to where everybody says a few words and everybody just comes out and cuts their own promo. Again, Tiffany Stratton was just freaking great. Again, she's the center of the universe, right? Freaking again, we got to call Tiffany Stratton by her proper name. She's the center of the universe. All right. So just want to freaking make that clear. Freaking love Tiffany Stratton. She's
awesome.
She is freaking great. She's awesome. So yeah, Naomi was out there. Everybody was out there. Raquel was out there. And it kind of just led into, blows being exchanged, fists being thrown, and Nia Jax just comes out and just takes out everybody. And that's pretty much it. So, oh man, how do I put this, Nia Jax, man? Listen, let me say this, Brian, I'll send this off to you because I know you've been very high on Nia Jax, and I just want you to just bear with me on what I have to say. Here. I like the concept of the backstage interview. Really like it. However, man, there was nothing memorable about it. Rhea talked about her, of course, her being from Australia and how much it means to her, as I'm sure it does, so, and much love to her. And Nia Jax just talked about how she's like, I'm three times your size. And that was pretty much it.
Yep.
And you have her go out there afterwards and take out all of these 6 ladies. For what? You're trying to build all of these individuals up. You have Naomi, who just returned. You have Tiffany Stratton that just debuted. You have all these other former champions that need to feel somewhat dominant. And Nia Jax, within the snap of a finger, just takes out all of them. Like what I would have done here, Brian, and again, if you want to portray Nia as a beast, then great. Do the little backstage interview, right? Rhea, as of late, she's been pissed. She's been angry because, Nia Jax has laid her out twice now. Have it to where get away from the arena. Get away from go into a hotel room, go in the streets of Anaheim, have them brawl. Like, add that extra layer and substance between Rhea and Nia to really get people interested, man. It's just like you had this little interview that really did nothing. And you just have Nia Jax go out there and just make all of these ladies look like freaking dominoes. All of them just fall one by one. Mm-hmm. It was just very weird booking, man. Like, if you want to tell this story with Rhea and Nia, that's great. Have them brawl. Get away from the ring. Add a layer to where Rhea's trying to find Nia Jax backstage somewhere. Like, where's Rhea? I don't want to wait till freaking Elimination Chamber. I want to get my hands on her now. Where the hell is she? She's freaking throwing freaking officials and freaking everybody across the room. Like, she's furious because she's gotten the short end of the stick with Nia. And somebody tells her like, oh, well, she's not here tonight. She's not in the arena. And Rhea's like, okay, well, where is she? And, she tries to find her in the streets of freaking Anaheim. And finally she freaking sees her and they brawl in a freaking, I don't know. Again, Brian, even this, Brian, you remember this, the whole the supermarket brawl? With Stone Cold? Do something similar with that. With Rhea and Nia. Why did you just have Rhea or Nia just go out and beat 6 freaking of your top female stars? Like, what is it doing for them? It's doing wonders for Nia, but what about these other individuals that are about to compete for this championship? That I didn't get, and that was just very odd. So I know I said a lot there, but Brian, your thoughts in regards to the ladies the promo segments that these ladies cut, as well as the backstage interview between Rhea and Nia Jax.
So what do the kids say these days when something's just kind of like average? Is it mid?
Mid.
So it's just kind of mid. Like that's like, here was your opportunity, to have these two women, start a story, give it some depth to this story.
Yeah.
And you went the most generic route possible. You just had Rhea talk about Australia. And Nia say, I'm 3 times the size of you, and that's
right.
And so it was just the most generic thing you can do. So it was just really mid to me. Like it's like you had this opportunity and you did nothing with it. As far as those two goes, their interaction, they're having the match. It's their match. And it was just a couple weeks ago where I said, like, here you have Rhea and Nia, and you can make the argument that this is Rhea's, up to this point, her biggest title defense. And you're still kind of doing nothing with it. And that's why, like, even going out, the women in the Elimination Chamber. Oh man, I so hope it's Liv and not Becky, because you got that story with Liv, and man, you have to. I don't know, to just always go out there and the story be, well, I'm mommy, I'm the man, or
two of the biggest polarizing stars in the women's division. Like that's just the story, right? There's nothing. There's really nothing else. Now, granted, like there's certain stories that speak for itself, but it just feels like we're just taking so quote unquote dream matches, right? Freaking Rhea and Becky's, I'm sure. Oh, that's a dream match. You got the Mon and you got Mommy. Like that's
and I'd love to see that.
Absolutely, for sure. But there's really nothing else. You know what? What's another good example I had, Brian, when it comes to and it's done before just a couple months ago. Seth Rollins and Matt Riddle, and it actually didn't even happen during the interview. It was what happened after the freaking interview, where Seth Rollins looked dead into the camera and said, "Hey Riddle, you still there?" He's like, "By the way," he's like, "You want to talk about my family? Let's talk about your family." "Oh wait, that's right, you ain't got one because your family left because they don't give a shit about your bitch ass anymore." And Riddle got heated, and it was, and just within seconds, I was like, "Bro, this is good, man." Like the goosebumps, bro. Like you feel the animosity. Do that with these ladies backstage, away from the arena. Like, why did you do, like you said, Brian, the most generic way possible? And then okay, let's just establish Nia Jax dominance just by just taking out everybody. You did that at the Royal Rumble. Why do I need to see that again?
Right. And even with Nia Jax, as much as I am high on her, I do like her. Like, we all know, and we've known for years, yes, she is always going to be the biggest woman, or one of them, if not the biggest.
We know
all the time. So you're right. It doesn't always have to be that same shtick. Like, develop it. Like, tell a story. Like, make it mean something other than I'm just bigger than you.
Exactly. It's like, Creator 912, what do you have for Nia Jax promo? She's 3 times the size as Rhea.
Right.
Okay, cool. Anything else, Creator 912? That's all I got.
That's what I'm saying. Like, and it feels like to me, and this is the disappointing part to me, is that I feel like this is just being treated, or is going to be treated as just this generic thing. They'll have the match at Elimination Chamber. Rhea's obviously going to win. And the best I can hope for is, like I said, that Liv wins that Elimination Chamber, and at least maybe they start developing a story with them two.
Right.
Because you're obviously not doing it with Nia here, so
yeah, exactly. And honestly, it's just, at the end of the day too, they're just using Nia just for Rhea to make more dominant, to get to WrestleMania anyway, when she probably does face Becky Lynch, to make more of the match. More. I know. I hear you, brother. Trust me. I hear you. I feel you, brother. I truly do. But that's just what they're doing. They're going to use Nia to say, "Oh, look at Rhea Ripley. She took out Nia Jax. Like, she's 3 times her size, and now she's going to go face the Mon, right? And now everybody should be excited." And it's just, but yet,
and then after that, I mean, I guess Becky and Nia have to have a match for the title at some point. That'll definitely happen.
Yeah.
Which again, I'm not necessarily opposed to that. I just feel like right now it's it's Liv's time, or should be, and this story is right there sitting for him. She came back healthy at a perfect time, and it's there, man.
Absolutely. I mean, I've said it for weeks upon months about it too. So I definitely hear that. And honestly, and when it comes to Nia Jax, we'll get into this next topic. I feel like with Nia, and I've said this before too, Nia and Jade Cargill, I still feel like they're going to do something with that, because again, they have the history with the Rumble. Braun Breaker's already signed to SmackDown. You already signed Tiffany and Naomi to SmackDown. So you would think that Jade Cargill is going to go to Monday Night Raw. Like you're not going to just put all of your returning stars and put them on SmackDown. And then you're like, wait a second, what about Monday Night Raw? Because they ain't got nothing. Right. So she's going to be probably going to Raw, and she's going to be in some type of shtick with Nia Jax, probably for Mania. But
I'd be good with that too,
Yeah, and I just hope they just get the ball rolling, though, man. Yeah, we got almost a month left.
A month and a half now, a month and a couple weeks.
Yeah, exactly. So, and that's the thing about Mania season, man. It's just like I feel like a lot of things, and I'll explain more about it later. It's just like a lot of this build and animosity with WrestleMania is just a lot of it's been put on hold outside of maybe Bayley and Io. As well as, I guess, if you want to throw Cody and Roman, I guess, and I've stated about that already many times about it. So, but yeah, that's just what I feel is what's going on. It's just like you only have what? I mean, after tonight, you're going to have probably 3 matches on the card, and you still need to fill up a good amount of both nights for 2 nights, and you got a month left to do such. So
yeah,
I don't know. It's interesting, man. Same with the Hall of Fame. Like, what are we doing with the Hall of Fame, guys? No names have been announced, and we're like less than a month from the Hall of Fame. Like, the prestige of the Hall of Fame is just freaking out the window.
I've always thought, I mean, the WWE Hall of Fame, I mean, I wish if they actually treated it somewhat like an actual Hall of Fame, I'm all for it. But when you have like fucking Pete Rose and the San Diego Chicken in the Hall of Fame, come on.
Yeah, no, right. Yeah, if they treat it like an actual Hall of Fame, yeah, no, I know, absolutely. Just everything, man. Everything about the Hall of Fame. I just wish they would just show more respect about it. But clearly they don't give a shit about it, man. They want to open up this new store in Orlando, Florida. I believe that's where it is. It's like a WWE superstore, or a WWE Experience or whatever. They just opened up, and so they want to promote that, but they don't want to give a shit about the Hall of Fame at all. I don't know. It's just freaking weird. I forget what it's called. I'm pretty sure that's what it's called, like WWE Experience or something like that. That's like a store. It's just like you can get like merchandise, T-shirts,
interactive
mugs,
games, probably shit like that.
Yeah, like all that type of stuff, man. Yeah. So, but yeah, man, we'll see with Rhea. Like I said, she continues to be more distant from the Judgment Day. She continues to turn face by the freaking day, by the week, and she's gonna retain this title. She's gonna get a really good reaction. I just wish, man, you could have added that layer to this with Nia Jax, because you still want to build this match up to a degree. Why not have some fun, man? Why not go the extra mile to really say, like, okay, I was already interested in this match. Now I really need to see what happens in this match, right?
Yeah.
And that's just it, man. That's just it. We could have done more. There was nothing memorable about the interview segment, and then just Nia Jax, like, all right, let's just show her dominance again because she's bigger than everybody. Have her go squash 6 ladies that are about to compete in a chamber match. And I'm just like, what the fuck, man?
Yeah.
So
no, I felt that, and like I said, I mean, I totally feel you with that segment. It just, again, it was just so generic, man, and
very generic. Yeah. Absolutely. That's probably a good word to describe it. Just very generic and just very average, and just the bare minimum was given into that, honestly, creativity wise. So, but let's move on into our second topic, man. The second topic for today is the IC title match, the Intercontinental title match between Gunther, your champion, and challenger Jey Uso. Of course, Gunther won this match. He defended this championship. Of course, also damn solid, good matchup. Freaking good, solid matchup. The only critique that I have about this matchup was the spears. all the freaking spears that were delivered.
And the last few, some of them looked horrible, man.
I mean, listen,
oh my God.
I understood it with the whole Roman thing, like hitting Roman with his own move. Okay, now he's just delivering spears and it looks god awful. Gunther, to the best of his ability, was trying to freaking sell it. It's just like, okay, after the first spear, I'm like, okay, I don't know why Jey Uso's still doing a spear, but whatever. Then the second one, and then the third one, and then the fourth one off the apron. And then the fifth one. And I'm just like, okay, what the fuck are we doing here? Yeah. That's my only critique. Outside of that, damn solid, good matchup. But, Gunther can also thank the assist of Jay's brother, Jimmy Uso, as Jay went for the Uso splash. He hits it flush, goes for the cover, and the bell starts to ring, and it's Jimmy Uso. He's got the hood up. He's in the timer keeper's area, and he reveals himself. Of course, it's Jimmy Uso ringing the bell, costing Jay the matchup. Gunther ends up taking advantage of that distraction from Jimmy, wins the matchup. Gunther retains the championship. Afterwards, post-match, Jimmy attacks Jay in his face. He's like, listen, no matter how big you get in this solo act, I'm always going to be the big brother, always. And Jimmy Uso stands tall, as that's how Monday Night Raw went off the air this past Monday. Hey, good stuff, man. Something that actually has something to do with WrestleMania. Like, holy shit, man. Like, freaking finally. Because, like, listen, Brian, like, Shinsuke and Sami Zayn last week, freaking, what else? Freaking the Shinsuke and Cody Rhodes, like the Bull Rope match. All of that stuff to a degree is fine. But what is it really doing for WrestleMania, right? I feel like we have these cliffhangers, right? We have these shows that go off the air, and it does nothing to get you any more excited for Mania. Now you're planting seeds. It's Jimmy. It's Jay. They're about to finally start this build. And even though we got a month, but you can also say the story speaks for itself because they're legit blood. They're brothers. So it speaks for itself anyway. But finally, man, like now you're going to put the stamp on a third match, which is needed. Like we got to get these matches on the card. But yeah, really good stuff, man. Jimmy and Jay, we know that this is going to be, for what it is, it's going to be good. I mean, who knows? Does Rikishi get involved in this? I would love to maybe,
that'd be awesome
to maybe, I don't know, acknowledge, no pun intended, an involvement with Rikishi and all this. I mean, but who knows how they do it? But it speaks for itself. Gunther retaining is the right call. Guys, listen, as good as Jey Uso has done in this solo act, no way in hell frickin' Gunther should have lost that title frickin' Monday. Absolutely not. On a Monday Night Raw. And, and I'm sure people were thinking, oh, this match should have been a pay-per-view. And I hear those people, but I think the reason why, Brian, I spoke about it last week, they don't want, because they know that it was going to be a damn solid, good match, as it was. I mean, it was damn freaking solid. From start to finish, again, outside of all the spears, like I mentioned. Yeah. But they want pretty much Elimination Chamber to be Rhea Ripley. They want Rhea Ripley because she's from there to be the main focal point. And they don't want a really good match that's going to probably be talked about and overshadowed over Rhea Ripley and Nia Jax. And they don't want to overshadow that for Rhea. So that's probably why, like, all right, let's just have this on a Raw, and then let's have Rhea probably. That match is probably going to end the show. I would assume, since she's from there, but we'll see in regards to it. But yeah, man, really good stuff outside of all the spears from Jay. I got no complaints, man. The right person won. Now we can kickstart Jimmy and Jay and be along for the ride. So Brian, your thoughts, man. The floor is yours.
Yeah, I pretty much agree with all that, man. I mean, yeah, I knew Gunther wasn't going to be losing there. And you'll see him in our closing segment too. I think it was really good to have Jimmy and we'll see Solo too be the one. Like, well, I'll save that one for the next topic. But yeah, just to get that kicked off with Jimmy and Jay, because I mean we would all assume that's definitely a Mania match.
Oh, for sure.
So yeah, the right person won. And I'm glad it wasn't Imperium that interfered. I'm glad it was Jimmy to tell that story. So yeah, right person won. It further tells, that story between Jimmy and Jay. So yeah, I'm all good with that, man.
Yeah, I was waiting for it too. I'm like, all right, just get Imperium out here. Just get the New Day out here. Like, I know it's coming, but no, they didn't.
Yeah, do it, I'm glad it just. Right, you didn't need all that.
You had the main focus just be about Jimmy and Jey and just Jimmy being involved into it. So I am glad it didn't turn into much of a circus that I thought it was going to be middle towards the end of the matchup. But yeah, no, really good stuff, man. And again, I think questions still remain about Gunther and this title reign. Like, when does he
who's going to be the
this
guy?
championship? Who is going to be the guy? You know, Brian, you mentioned last week, you know, even though I don't agree with it at all, do they have Gunther just relinquish the title maybe after WrestleMania? And that's how he goes into the whole world title scene after that. So at this point, man, when it comes to this company, anything is really on the table in regards to it. So, but we'll see, man. I mean, we've mentioned a bunch of names like Braun Breaker. It's not going to be Braun Breaker. You know, you don't want to like do that to Braun to where he's going to go into WrestleMania. Nobody's going to know who the fuck he is. It's just evident because he's a new NXT superstar. I'm sure there's a lot of casuals that don't even watch NXT. They're not going to know who he is. We've mentioned Chad Gable again, but you've booked him so freaking poorly.
I know you got a lot of work to do in the next month and a half. You got a lot of work
to do within a month and a half, right? So options, man. And now Jey just lost this match, and he's going to now, you know, pay his attention more, or going to have his focus now on his brother Jimmy. So I don't know, man. Like, what other options do we have left? So that's
also, we've mentioned Dragunov, but obviously he's nowhere in the picture.
Yeah,
so
that's my
another
first
name
option, man. If Dragunov wasn't holding on to, if he wasn't holding on to this NXT championship at some point down the road, he would be, after WrestleMania, of course, he would be my number one option to that. You know, we've mentioned, I'm sure, some other people. I've also heard Sami Zayn's name. I would not do that at all, because he's already held on to this IC title.
Right.
And again, and the thing is with Sami Zayn, and we've talked about it last week, it's like, we know what they're doing with Sami. They're playing this whole heroic adversity shtick, but like we said, they're doing the same thing with Cody. So how is that? Like, you're just doing the same thing with that, right? But it's just like, I don't even need a title to be involved with Sami Zayn right now. Again, like I mentioned last week, Money in the Bank. It's in Toronto. It's in Canada. If you really want to give Sami Zayn the ball, as of right now, that's what I would do in regards to Sami Zayn's booking. If you want to bring him back to that title picture,
that'd be perfect.
Have him win Money in the Bank. Here are my Money in the Bank options. You ready? Here are my two picks for Money in the Bank. For the men's, it's Sami Zayn. For the women, Tiffany Stratton. Give Tiffany Stratton the freaking briefcase. You can do freaking wonders with her, with that freaking briefcase, and she cashes it in. Do it in the most surprising way possible, the most least expected way possible. I'm telling you, man, Sami, because it's in Toronto, it's going to be a really cool, fun moment. And again, don't let them cash it in right away. Unless you have a plan for them to cash it in right away, don't do it. Just let it breathe. Tell a story with them holding on to this briefcase. And yeah, you could say they're doing that with Damian Priest, but guys, nobody cares about Damian Priest holding onto a briefcase.
I mean, unfortunately, like I guess after Mania, he's gonna attempt to cash it in finally on whoever wins. You know, Drew,
probably the world heavy. Yeah, probably Drew, the world heavyweight title picture.
But I mean, we're coming up on a year, you know, the next Money in the Bank, and he's never really even, I mean, they just haven't done anything with it, serious, you know.
Because they don't know what to do with it, because they don't know what to do with it. It's like, okay, shoot, we've given him this briefcase. They've used the briefcase to get him over. That's the problem. Like, you give the guy the briefcase when somebody is already freaking over, if that makes sense. Sami Zayn, again, you could say if Sami Zayn needs the briefcase to win the championship, that's a conversation to be had. But I'm telling you, man, like the steam that he would get winning that briefcase in Canada, in Toronto,
for sure,
and you carry that into the summer, bro. Oh my goodness, man. And Tiffany Stratton, like, she's already a star already. That her holding on to that briefcase would just elevate it tenfold.
I'd really have to think about the women, but off the top, I mean, that's nothing wrong with that choice. Absolutely.
And then listen, that's not just speaking from a fan of Tiffany Stratton. It makes sense, and it's believable for somebody like Tiffany that, you know, she's this Barbie freaking, you know, selfish type of character that would do a dastardly deed, which is cashing in a briefcase at the right time. It just makes sense, man. It makes sense for her character. You know, but obviously people like, Bianca, Becky Lynch. Like, those people don't need it. Like, they're already main event caliber stars.
Yeah,
They don't freaking need it. Sami Zayn, you can say he's a main event caliber star, but he's not like, they haven't given him that rocket though yet. He's like a tier below, but giving him that briefcase and winning the championship, that will take him to that freaking stratosphere, man.
it absolutely could.
But we'll see. Time will freaking tell. So, but let's jump into our final topic, man. Our final topic is the match that kicked off the show, and that was Cody Rhodes versus Drew McIntyre. This match took up pretty much a good chunk of the entire first hour. Again, damn solid good match for what it was. And of course, the assist was with the bloodline. Freaking Jimmy gets involved. Freaking Cody goes for the crossroads. Freaking Solo with the hood and the cap, the black cap and all, comes up the apron, delivers a Solo spike. Pretty similar setting to WrestleMania 39, by the way, as just throwing that out there. Drew is also kind of playing the shtick too, which I kind of also like to a degree. He was like, because of course his relationship with the bloodline and how the bloodline screwed him. And now, like Michael Cole was emphasizing, like, okay, now he's the one taking advantage of a bloodline distraction or interference and winning the match over Cody. And Drew McIntyre wins this match. So Cody freaking loses this match, and they had Drew McIntyre go over and win this freaking matchup. Definitely a surprise to a degree, man. I got some thoughts about this, but Brian, I'll have you start with this, man. Your thoughts about this match, the interference with Solo and Jimmy, and everything else, man, as well as Drew McIntyre winning this match.
Yeah, I think it was a damn solid match. Again, I love the interference, or for the storyline purposes, I think, Solo and Jimmy coming out there is perfect. And, I was a little, at first, I was like, I just thought, like, because obviously, like, if anybody has questions of who's winning the Elimination Chamber now, that should have put that to rest. Drew McIntyre is winning Elimination Chamber. I mean, you call it what it is, but that match was for him to beat another top star,
right? Especially the fact that he's beaten Sami Zayn, he's beaten Cody Rhodes. I mean, the fact that he's beaten Cody Rhodes,
Styles,
and for him to just lose the chamber, as well as, like, because again, whoever is going to face Rollins is going to win the championship. I think everybody's pretty confident that whoever faces Rollins is going to win the title. So if Drew doesn't even win this chamber, then what the hell was all of this for?
right.
So you would think it's got to be Drew at this point, but yeah, Brian, continue.
Yeah. So I mean, that was cool, but yeah, I at first I questioned, again, so we got a month and a half till Mania. We'll see if Cody finishes the story there, but at least for the next month and a half, it's the same shtick. It's struggle and adversity. I mean, that's what you're going to see for the next month and a half.
Yeah.
I know that he's had matches with all these people, but initially I would have had Drew maybe in the match with somebody else in the chamber rather than Cody. Because that should, Cody going out there and losing again. But again, that's where they're going, the struggle and adversity. And mark my words, at Elimination Chamber, they don't have a match, but however it goes down with the Grayson Waller effect, and I don't know if it'd be Jimmy and Solo or maybe Rock and Roman show up, but Cody and Seth are getting beat down at Elimination Chamber. Mark that down, man. So again, it's just going to continue that story of him losing, coming up short, outside interference, all this stuff, the bloodline, which, again, so now that we know that it is that match, to have Jimmy and Solo come out and do that, I'm okay with it, because you got to get it started. But like we've mentioned, you got to have Roman in there at some point. It can't just be Jimmy and Solo all the time,
Yeah.
So that's where I am with that. I think that match was, again, damn solid match. And its purpose was to just further establish Drew as the guy that's winning the chamber, which I'm cool with that. So, yeah. What you think, man? What you thinking?
This honestly was a mixed bag. And I'll tell you what I mean by a mixed bag. Would I have had Cody Rhodes lose this match? Hard no. I really expected a DQ finish. That's what I expected it to be. Again, interference maybe from the bloodline, whoever you want to have interfere. And so on one hand, I'm like, wow, interference or not, Cody Rhodes losing, man. That's just very interesting.
Mm-hmm.
On the other hand, right? On the other hand, I do like the fact that it reminisces WrestleMania 39, the spike to freaking, hey, it's like a message sent to Roman saying like, hey, you know, this is how you lost at 39, and that's how it's going to be again at Mania 40. Nothing's going to change. I'm still the tribal chief. I'm still the head of the table, and the result is just going to be like freaking last year. You on your back looking up at the lights because, you know, the numbers game, right? So I get it. The thing is too, so I like that. And then also I honestly, and I've heard this from many people, and I think it's kind of evident, and I don't know what you think about this, Brian. Like, I can see them at WrestleMania 40. They're going to do the same exact spot to where Solo does the spike. Cody's about to hit the freaking, the crossroads. Solo gets involved and does the spike. Roman hits the spear, just like Mania 39, and they're going to have Cody Rhodes kick out. That's how they're going to probably do it. So that's probably what's going to happen in regards to it. So again, I like that it finally has something to do with Cody and Roman to a degree. Again, is it the bare minimum? Yeah. Am I going to take it at this point? You're damn freaking right. I'm going to. But here's the thing too, man. I also feel like there's still more. We're also just telling more of the story with this tag match more than Cody versus Roman, because of course afterwards you had Cody in the trainer's room. He's getting checked on by trainers, and Seth is there like a concerned father figure. He kind of taps him on the freaking leg, and he freaking walks off. So they're doing more. So again, to be fair, whether I or with other people want this tag match or not, if that's how you want to, right, it's coming. If that's how you want to portray going into this match as well as Roman, then yeah, that's how you do it. Do we need the tag match? Honestly, no, because listen, if they're going to do this tag match with The Rock, because this is where I'm very confused. Why wouldn't you just do Roman versus Rock at night one anyway? If Roman's going to pull double duty and do this tag match, let's say at Mania, because they're going to do it at Mania. They're not going to do this on a Raw. They're not going to do this on a SmackDown. They're damn sure not going to do it at Elimination Chamber. They're going to have Cody and Seth kind of call out Roman and Rock, and maybe that puts the stamp on a future tag match or whatever. They're going to call them out in the Grayson Waller Effect segment. So if that's the case, man, why couldn't we just do Roman Rock night 1 and Cody versus Roman night 2? And all of this kind of just could have been freaking avoided at this point. So that's where I'm baffled with all of this. And then, people will say, oh, well, the story with the story with Roman and Rock deserves a yearly span. Like, again, guys, is it neat? Like, listen, I don't mind waiting a year for this match if you have a plan to really add another layer to this. Because probably what they're going to do, Brian, is that they're going to have this tag match. They'll probably have Roman and Rock go over.
Oh, yeah.
They're probably going to add some seeds planted to a turn, and potentially The Rock cost Roman the title, and that's going to prolong to WrestleMania 41, and Cody Rhodes can finally win the championship. For some odd reason, I still feel like Roman is going to defend this championship anyway at Mania 40 this coming year, but yeah, but that's the thing. It's just like, if you were going to have Roman and Rock as a team for night 1, why couldn't you just do this feud now? Because the reality, guys, is that the story is it's made for itself already, because it's been in the making for 3 to 4 freaking years. Sure, you can prolong it, but is it really necessary? The answer is no. So that's where I'm kind of baffled at it, Brian. And listen, if you're going to turn, because and I'll end it with this, and I'll send this back over to you. Let's say if there is a turn between Rock and Roman, I honestly wouldn't have Rock turn on Roman. I would have Roman turn on The Rock. And who knows, maybe he's now evolved because he's done so well in this shtick to where now he can evolve finally as a babyface. But man, heel Roman, like, you can't. you can't get rid of that because you're going to cheer The Rock, right? It was evident freaking this past Friday.
Right.
Like, you're going to cheer The Rock, whether like you don't like that he's taking up a spot, all this bullshit that we freaking hear over the last several weeks.
It's inevitable.
It's inevitable you're going to cheer The Rock. So, and Roman does such a good heel shtick anyway. Yep. Keep him in that heel shtick. Have Roman turn on The Rock instead of The Rock turning on Roman Reigns. Now, you could still do it to where Roman's still the heel and Rock is still the face. I get it. But man, because if you're going to prolong this to Mania next year, do it to where it does wonders for Roman to kickstart that whole spiel with The Rock, to where it makes Roman, if he's going to lose the championship, even more diabolical, even more vicious. And now his next purpose is to finish off The Rock, to take out The Rock whenever that time is, next WrestleMania, whatever. Right. That's what I would do. But who knows what they're going to do. It's just weird how, Brian, that it's evident at this point they're going to do a tag. And if it's at Mania, I don't know why we could have just done Roman versus Rock now, because it already speaks for itself for the last 3 to 4 years because of everything that I've spoken about with Roman versus Rock. He's the head of the table. He believes over the last 3 to 4 years, he's been the tribal chief, the head of the table. But the real provider of the family, which is The Rock, comes in and says, enough. Someone's got to put a stop to you. You manipulated our family. You've done all of this crap. Someone's got to put a stop to you. And that's your story. So could you do that for a year? Yes. Is it necessary? No. So if you were going to have this tag match at Mania, then why couldn't we just get Roman versus Rock at night one anyway? And Cody could finish his freaking story and we could be done with that shit. So, but yeah, man, Brian, your final thoughts.
I'm going a little bit of a different way with it, man. Now that we don't really know, I'm hoping that The Rock sticks around for a little bit, at least to the summer, and he continues this bloodline shtick. He's in the bloodline, like. So I'm not necessarily thinking that everything has to culminate at Mania, and as much as I was previously. Yeah. And like, there's no way they're having a tag match because Rollins isn't wrestling twice at Mania. I can't. Given his physical health, I don't think that would be a wise idea for Rollins to be wrestling twice at Mania.
Because that's the thing. If they're not going to have the tag, because again, they're going to have this tag match. It's just like, when are they going to have this match? Because if you're not going to do it at Chamber, like, are you just going to place it on a Raw or SmackDown? Because that's the only place that you could put that matchup is WrestleMania. Because it's weird. Because like, are they going to have Seth pull double duty with this freaking injury? That would be very interesting. But no, continue.
I can't really fully put it into words, but since it is a tag match, like I wouldn't mind it, because it's like the tag match isn't really the story. You know what I mean? So I wouldn't mind it if it was on a Raw or a SmackDown. I really wouldn't. I don't think that has to be on a pay-per-view.
Oh no, I agree.
Yeah.
It doesn't. Yeah. No, absolutely.
So I'd be okay if it was on, in the week leading up to Mania or whenever they have it, whatever. But yeah, I don't see Seth pulling double duty at Mania. And again, really, a lot of it really does hinge on how involved is The Rock really going to be as far as the product we see on a Raw or a SmackDown on a weekly or monthly basis.
Yeah.
Because if he sticks with the bloodline and they play this angle for a little bit, say to SummerSlam or something, I'm totally fine with that too, man. And Roman retains at Mania, and I guess the Cody crybabies, but whatever, man. I mean, it's
It's just weird how there's just been more, and I've said this already before. I'm just going to keep repeating myself because I feel like I have to, but it just feels like you're telling more of this story with the tag, like with Seth and Cody, because it's weird. Like, Seth is supposed to be, he's defending this title against Drew, but yet he has this
or whoever it is, he's having that match,
right? We think it's Drew, whoever wins this Chamber match. So you still have to make that match have some semblance of a story as well, regardless of who he faces within a month.
Right.
But Seth is doing more with Cody in the bloodline than he is with his own championship. That's where what I don't understand, because you're doing more with this tag than you are with Cody versus Roman at WrestleMania Night 2. Because I agree with you, Brian. Like, to have this at Mania, to have Seth pull double duty, first of all, it doesn't make sense, and I don't think they would do it anyway.
All.
But it doesn't need to be at the main event of Night 1 at WrestleMania. Again,
it doesn't even need to be on a pay-per-view.
Or a pay-per-view in general, correct? Because at this point, man, I've stated, have Bayley and Io freaking and freaking WrestleMania Night 1 if we're going that route anyway. Like, it's not. Yeah, I agree, man. It's not needed to have it at a freaking pay-per-view. I don't think it's just needed regardless, because Seth, he's the world champion. You gotta, if he's gonna be on TV, why not have him more involved to whoever's in this chamber match of the title that people are competing for his championship.
Right.
But he's doing more with the bloodline and Cody and the Universal Undisputed title than his own fucking championship.
Yeah.
That's what I don't get about this entire situation. And that's
and
what I mean.
If there's anybody out there thinking like, this has to, because of the 4 people involved, it has to be like a pay-per-view match. Again, like the tag, pairing these 4 together in a tag is not really the long-term story of anybody involved.
No.
And you go back to the Attitude Era. I can't remember how many times, just like, I'm just throwing out random names, but I mean, like a Stone Cold, tagged with The Rock against Triple H and Jericho, just because that was people were feuding. Not everything has to be made into this, main event at WrestleMania. No, this is just going to be a tag.
It's just a tag match.
Progressing the story. That's what this is.
Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah. And that's why I'm so frustrated about it, because like, why? Again, because it's just a tag match, and it's just you're doing more with that than you are with your own main event of Night 2. It's just it's a weird dynamic, but we shall see. Listen, if you want to, because again, I'm very interested with heel Rock against Cody at some point, because again, they've done a lot with that than with freaking Roman, regardless, as well as Roman and Seth. I've talked about the jabs that they had at the press conference, as well as Roman's promo a couple weeks ago, the jabs that they've been spewing at each other over the last several weeks. So it's a I don't know if you want to say it's a layer, but it's like that extra step, or that step closer to WrestleMania to tell the story here. But I don't know, man. Is it needed? Yeah, you're right, Brian. This doesn't need to be on a pay-per-view at all. I just don't think this thing needs to be a thing, period. This tag match just doesn't need to really been a thing. You could have just done Roman and Rock at Night 1, because again, the story already speaks for itself anyway. Again, title or not, I don't give a shit. You can have Roman defeat The Rock, and that could add another extra layer for Cody to be like, man, this dude just came off of a win against the freaking Rock, and now, Cody, you got to defeat that motherfucker in the main event at Night 2. And that delivers a lot more suspense in regards to it. And you can still, dare I say, because it's WrestleMania, you can have Rock be some type of involvement of Roman Reigns losing the championship in regards to it. So you can still do that, have Roman or have Rock interfere to cost Roman, and still would have had this match for Night 1. It just doesn't make sense, man. Because again, the tag match, it's going to happen. But if you were to prolong this to the tag match, then what we saw this past Monday, that's how you would go about it. So I don't mind it for what it was. Right. And I wish at the end of the day too, and I'll end it with this, and I'll get your final thoughts, Brian. Cody's got to start explaining himself, bro. Like, I still don't have an explanation of why this dude decided to change his mind, because he legit stated, I'm not going to fight you, Roman, at Mania. And he legit invites The Rock out. And then he's like, nope, scratch that. Never mind. Freaking WrestleMania, I will challenge you, Roman. Why? And people want to say, oh, because we complained and we bitched and moaned. That's why we have this match. Okay, but what about from Cody Rhodes' standpoint, guys? Storyline purposes, I get it. Realistically, it's because y'all bitched and moaned and y'all got what you wanted. But from Cody's standpoint, it doesn't make him look good from doing all of these things and not explaining himself. It doesn't make him look good at all. So at some point, man, like, I don't expect them to explain anything. They're just going to expect everybody to just, oh, well, you're getting the matchup anyway, so you should be happy, right? You should be excited for Mania. So I doubt they're even going to give us a freaking explanation why Cody's doing the shit that he's doing. It's just, man, it just doesn't. I just want it to make sense of why Cody is in the positions that he's putting himself in, if that makes sense to everybody. So, but yeah, Brian, with Monday Night Raw, your final thoughts.
Well, I think you'll be disappointed with that, because I think that, now that they kind of everything, the dust kind of has settled a bit, they're just going to distance themselves from there's not going to be any mention of the flip flop. Like, they're moving on.
It's like you expect me to just forget, like it's like I swear to God, Brian, it's just like they treat their fans like they legit have short attention spans, because I'm sure some of them do, or they just don't give a shit. They just want to just enjoy wrestling. Oh, whatever, I'm enjoying it, so who gives a shit? Okay, well, good for you. But some of us want to have things make sense of what they're watching, right? We want to be captivated by what we're watching. If we truly love and enjoy something, it's just like you still would want things to make sense of why Cody's in this predicament anyway.
Sure.
So, but continue.
Yeah, so I mean, overall for Raw, I thought it was a pretty decent show. I mean, the IC match and Drew and Cody, those were really good matches. I do like Solo and Jimmy getting involved in both of those, further in those stories. The Rhea, Nia, left something to be, I wish they had went a little further with that. But I guess that's what we're gonna get. And the match is Saturday, so just looking forward to that pay-per-view. I do expect, again, Drew to win that Elimination Chamber. Rhea's gonna retain her title. The women, it's still, I mean, again, I'm just holding out hope it's Liv, but it's probably Becky. But either way, man, it's, we got a month and a half till Mania, and shit's gonna start falling into place now, whether we like it, not, whatever. I just, things, here going forward after this are gonna start to make a little more sense, see clearer pictures. So I'll just be along for the ride, man.
That's right. But yeah. Well, yeah. So listen, Monday Night Raw, I'll say it was slightly better than last week. It was a slight upgrade from last week.
And the crowd, shout out to you. The crowd had a lot to do with that too, because you maintain that energy. It just feels better,
Absolutely. The crowd had a lot to do with it. Of course, Jimmy and Jey, how they ended the show. Again, even though I would have done things differently with Cody losing the match, but the way that it was done to further along of what this company is trying to do with this tag match and everything, I'm fine with it to a degree. So yeah, it was slightly better. And again, like you said, Brian, the crowd had a lot to do with it. I was funny. I think R-Truth was in an 8-man tag.
His little, man, I totally forgot to mention that. Did you see the whole little street interview?
Yeah, and I like that, man. Get away from the arena, bro. Like, you got enough time to do matches and in-ring promos, bro. Get away from the ring, get away from the arena. So I did like that, man. And I think
shout out to Truth, man. Like, I mean, the resurgence he's had here in the last few months, kudos to you, man. Because in the wrestling world, I mean, yes, he's a fucking blessing. Like, he really is. He's a treasure. He's a treasure.
He is, man. He is. He definitely is, for sure. Shout out to R-Truth, man. It was funny, like, how Damian Priest, he pins R-Truth in that tag match, and you can hear, like, the crowd just gets so deflated because R-Truth lost the match. He got a real loud reception when he tagged into the match. There were "We Want Truth" chants. So Anaheim brought it, man. So, hey, all those people from Anaheim that were in the freaking arena, freaking applause to you, man.
Yeah, absolutely.
Really good stuff, man, bringing that energy. And I just wish that a lot more. And again, you can even say to a degree, it's just like, okay, well, if you want the crowd to cheer, give them something to cheer about, right? Really get them something to get excited about. So, but with Anaheim, man, anything that WWE threw at them, they were going to cheer to the high heavens. But hey, kudos to them. They made the show somewhat of an upgrade because of the energy that they brought. So everybody from Anaheim, shout out to you. And yeah, decent show. It was okay. It was a slight upgrade from Raw. Again, would have done things differently with the whole Nia Jax thing and the Rhea Ripley thing, as well with all the women in the chamber. But just this company just wants to find something to aggravate me, Brian. Just something, as well as I'm sure a lot of people. But that's going to do it for today's episode, everybody. Thank you guys so much for tuning in to our Monday Night Raw review of this week. Again, our next episode, we are back this weekend, and we are talking the Elimination Chamber, which is the good, the bad, and the ugly, again, with special guest Jalen Johnson, who was a part of our Survivor Series roundtable just a couple months ago. He will be back on the show with us, giving his tallies, giving his thoughts, his takes, and all of that fun spiel to have a good time and dissect the show. We probably won't be able to watch the show live, Elimination Chamber.
Oh, for sure I'm not.
We can get up and wake up at 5 o'clock in the morning. It's not a chore for us anyway, but your boys got freaking lives outside of this podcast, so we won't be able to do it. Won't be able to watch it live, but we will be able to watch the show probably sometime Saturday. And again, that review show will be out sometime Saturday night or sometime Sunday. So make sure you guys stay tuned for all of that, man. But of course, you guys see the banner down below. Subscribe to our YouTube channel. We're very close to 75 subscribers on our YouTube channel. So thank you guys to everybody that has clicked that subscribe button down below. Make sure you hit that subscribe button, stay notified. And as well, man, you see the banner down below. Follow us on Instagram and TikTok. That is Ruthless_Talk. So make sure you guys stay tuned. Appreciate all of the love and the support. And stay tuned for more content as always. Brian, your final thoughts before we end this show.
Just shout out to Jalen, man. Looking forward to having you back this weekend to talk Elimination Chamber, man. So everybody check out that podcast.
Yeah, absolutely. Shout out to Jalen. It's going to be a whole lot of fun. And shout out to all of you guys that always tune into every episode. And yeah, man, stay tuned for the good, the bad, and the ugly for this weekend's Elimination Chamber review. And that's going to do it for today's episode, everybody. My name is James Porcelly.
I'm Bryan Thomas.
And until next time, there will be a next time. Your boys are signing off saying salutes.
Peace out.
And take care, everybody. Yeet!
So what if you can see the dark inside of me? No one would ever change the